Yonaguni's hidden enigma. Concealed beneath the waves off the Japanese shoreline, not upon solid ground, but in the depths of the ocean, lies a perplexing mystery. These massive underwater formations, shockingly symmetrical and seemingly intentional, have sparked heated debate. Are they remnants of a forgotten civilization, predating all known history? Or are they simply geological anomalies sculpted over eons by currents and tides? The visual precision challenges the natural formation theory. This is the enigma of the Yonaguni structure. The first known encounter with the Yonaguni site occurred in 1986, credited to local diver Kiichiro Arataki. He wasn't seeking historical ruins or ancient architecture. His goal was to locate a fresh diving location near Yonaguni, one of Japan's Ryukyu Islands. As he dove deeper, he discovered an unexpected sight, an enormous, multi-tiered rock formation. Its edges were sharp, surfaces unnaturally smooth. It was unlike anything he'd ever encountered. Layered terraces appeared to ascend to flat platforms. Narrow pathways were carved into the stone, and a towering staircase-like structure seemed to reach toward the ocean's surface. It appeared too perfect, almost certainly human-made. But how could that be? As news of the discovery spread, experts and academics took notice. Some hypothesized that it could be evidence of a long-lost culture, perhaps one existing before the last glacial period when ocean levels were considerably lower. Skeptics, however, were quick to dismiss it as a quirk of geology. Yet, with each new expedition, new features came to light, details that made the natural explanation increasingly difficult to support. The structure is truly colossal, spanning over 165 feet and rising about 90 feet above the seabed. It contains broad ledges, perfect right-angled corners, and what look like chiseled steps interlinking levels. Some researchers compare it to the step pyramids of the Americas, while others see similarities to Mesopotamian religious sites. A key point supporting artificial construction is the discovery of what resemble tool imprints, linear etchings, and smoothed areas as though hand-shaped. Some areas even resemble pillars, arches, and a spacious central chamber. Among the most puzzling aspects is what many call the face, a large, head-like form complete with eye sockets, a nose, and mouth. Could this be a deity representation, or merely a naturally eroded formation casting shadows that fool the eye? If human hands shape this monument, it defies established timelines. Its depth and location suggest it was constructed over 10,000 years ago, far earlier than any documented civilization in the area. That would make it older than Egypt's pyramids, Göbekli Tepe, and Sumerian cities. Some theories connect Yonaguni with the mythical lost land of Mu, a Pacific counterpart to Atlantis said to have vanished beneath the sea millennia ago. While mainstream academics label Mu as legend, the presence of a seemingly advanced submerged structure in the region rekindles the idea. Others speculate it may relate to the Jomon people, a prehistoric Japanese society known for intricate ceramics and enigmatic stone arrangements. But there's a problem. Nothing else attributed to the Jomon matches Yonaguni's scale or engineering complexity. If they were responsible, Japan's historical narrative would need a radical revision. Nonetheless, many geologists remain firm. Yonaguni is naturally formed. They cite examples of similar shapes produced by tectonic shifts and sediment erosion. In places across the globe, rock fractures have created step-like patterns that look artificially carved. A major argument against human construction is the lack of artifacts. No tools, no pottery, no inscriptions, none of the cultural remnants archaeologists typically find at ancient settlements. There's only stone. Yet advocates for the man-made hypothesis argue that after millennia undersea, any relics could have been swept away or buried under marine sediments. They point to the structure's symmetry and architectural qualities as signs of human intent. Despite extensive investigation, no consensus has emerged. The Japanese government has not designated the site as an archaeological monument. Without definitive evidence, the question remains unresolved. Diving expeditions continue, searching for confirmation, be it in the form of carvings, relics, or new structures that might settle the debate. The ocean has always hidden secrets, sunken ruins, ancient relics, lost cities. Yonaguni stands among them, blurring the line between nature and human legacy. Was it shaped by ancient people or by millennia of geological forces? Whatever the truth, one fact stands clear. The deeper we investigate our past, the more mysteries we encounter. The Voynich Cipher. In a world filled with texts, there exists one book no one can understand, a manuscript written in an unknown script, filled with imagery and ideas that resist all interpretation. This is the conundrum of the Voynich manuscript. The year was 1912. Wilfrid Voynich, a dealer in antique books, stumbled upon a curious volume at a Jesuit college outside Rome. At first glance, he recognized it was something exceptional. The pages featured looping, structured characters, an alphabet unseen before. Accompanying them were eccentric drawings, imaginary plants, celestial maps unaligned with known star charts, and humanoid figures in strange, ritualistic scenes. The manuscript's parchment was dated between 1404 and 1438. Yet beyond its age, everything about the book is an enigma. There is no title, no author, no origin story. It seems to have manifested from nowhere, unanchored in time or place. Though the writing mimics linguistic patterns, repetitions, sentence-like structures, and apparent grammar, it matches no known language. Not Latin, not Greek, not Arabic, not any extinct tongue. Despite extensive analysis, no match has been found. Over the past century, brilliant minds have attempted to decipher it. World War II codebreakers who cracked Nazi ciphers tried and failed. Modern artificial intelligence and linguistic algorithms have also fallen short. Some suggest it's written in shorthand, a private script meant for few to comprehend. Others argue it's an elaborate hoax meant to confound academics. But if it were a ruse, why put so much effort into mimicking real language? Why include hundreds of meticulous illustrations, some hinting at scientific knowledge? Theories about its purpose abound. Some believe it was a medical reference, possibly penned by an alchemist or herbalist documenting lost knowledge. The imaginary plants may represent rare herbs. The human figures might be anatomical diagrams. Another idea suggests it was a religious document encoded to protect its secrets from outside scrutiny. Still, others speculate it was the invention of a singular genius, someone who created a language no one else ever learned. A more fantastical theory posits the manuscript contains knowledge far beyond its time. Some argue it may even be alien in origin, its botany unlike any Earth species, its star charts potentially mapping distant worlds. Despite occasional claims of decoding, no solution has held up. Some researchers propose it was intended to be unreadable, an experiment or artistic project designed to provoke curiosity. The manuscript now resides in Yale University's Voynich Rare Book Library, where it continues to defy interpretation. Who wrote it? What does it mean? And why was it created? We might never know. But the Voynich manuscript remains an enduring riddle, a book full of secrets locked in a language beyond our reach. While some texts are simply undecipherable, others have been lost, buried, or deliberately hidden. Up next is another ancient mystery, one buried not beneath water, but beneath the sands of time. A hidden labyrinth in Egypt, described in ancient writings but never discovered. The enigmatic Rongo-Rongo. Floating in the vast expanse of the Pacific Ocean, Easter Island is globally recognized for its towering Moa statues. Yet, this isolated patch of land shelters another riddle that has left scholars, language experts, and archaeologists puzzled for generations. Scattered throughout the island are wooden relics inscribed with symbols that bear no resemblance to any known writing system. These carvings, termed the Rongorongo glyphs, remain untranslated to this day, offering more intrigue than clarity. Called Rapa Nui by its native people, Easter Island ranks among the planet's most remote inhabited territories, over 2,000 miles removed from any other major landmass. Its people built a flourishing society that famously created the giant stone heads. But beyond the moai lies an equally deep mystery: the undeciphered script of Rongorongo. Cracking its code might reveal the unrecorded history of the island's earliest residents. The earliest written reference to Rongorongo appears in the 1800s, when Catholic missionaries arrived and observed the peculiar markings carved onto wooden objects. Locals at the time admitted they couldn't understand the symbols anymore, claiming the ability to interpret them had been lost over many generations. Elders occasionally recounted stories of a once privileged class of wise men, the Tongata Rongorongo, who were capable of reading these sacred writings. But with Rapa Nui society crumbling under starvation, internal conflict, and the incursion of European visitors, the knowledge of this writing system vanished. What makes Rongorongo especially confounding is that if it's a genuine form of writing, it could be among the rare instances where a writing system developed independently. Unlike scripts that evolved from others, such as Egyptian hieroglyphs morphing into the Latin alphabet, Rapa Nui's distance from the rest of the world suggests its writing system might have emerged without any external influence. Only a few civilizations in human history can claim such an achievement. Linguists have invested decades attempting to decode the glyphs, yet progress has been agonizingly slow. The script follows a rare stylistic pattern called reverse boustrophedon. One line is etched left to right, the next is flipped upside down and read right to left. This complex layout implies a refined system of writing that obeys strict formatting principles, making translation efforts even more complex. Theories about the glyphs' function are numerous and varied. Some academics argue that Rongorongo may be a type of proto-writing, where the characters represent abstract ideas rather than detailed language. Others believe the symbols might preserve lineages, ceremonial prayers, or ancient accounts of island history. A few even suspect they might record insights into the island's societal collapse, offering a cautionary tale for future generations. Certain figures on the tablets depict birds, fish, and humanoid shapes, prompting some experts to propose that Rongorongo represents a symbolic narrative style, akin to the picture glyphs of ancient Mesoamerica. However, no tangible connection has been found between Rongorongo and any other known script, keeping its origins hidden in uncertainty. Part of the mystery lies in the rarity of the tablets themselves. Fewer than 30 verified examples of Rongorongo inscriptions are known today. Many are fragmented or damaged. Some disappeared with time, while others were deliberately destroyed by missionaries who deemed them superstitious and demanded the burning of these pagan artifacts. Despite numerous scholarly efforts, a definitive interpretation of Rongorongo eludes us. Without something like a bilingual translation, such as the famed Rosetta Stone, many believe the symbols may never be decoded. Yet, some hold out hope that remnants of oral tradition or surviving fragments might still unlock its secrets. More speculative ideas even suggest that Rongorongo could be thousands of years old, perhaps a relic of a pre-existing culture that left its legacy on Easter Island. Others theorize that ancient Rapa Nui inhabitants might have been connected to distant civilizations through long-lost maritime routes, passing along symbols and stories across oceans. Whatever the truth, Rongorongo continues to challenge our assumptions about the capabilities of ancient peoples. If it is a standalone invention of writing, its discovery would be monumental, a tribute to Rapa Nui innovation and a rare glimpse into a culture now silent. For now, these wooden texts keep their secrets, speaking a language no one remembers. But history is full of unsolved puzzles, and perhaps With time and technology, Rongorongo will speak again. Until then, the glyphs remain a haunting echo of a civilization that time forgot, a message waiting in silence. The Castelnau giant. In the year 1890, a French anthropologist named Georges Vacher de Lapouge was digging in the southern French village of Castelnau-le-Lez. What he unearthed would go on to spark intense controversy and heated debate among anthropologists. Beneath the soil, he discovered a set of human-like bones, but these remains were gigantic compared to those of modern humans. Among the collection were a humerus, femur, and tibia. Based on their measurements, the individual they belonged to would have stood around 11 feet tall, a staggering height by any standard. If true, this would place the so-called Castelnau giant among the tallest human-like beings ever encountered. Lapouge promptly detailed his discovery in the French journal La Nature, suggesting that the bones had come from a prehistoric human of extraordinary proportions. His analysis of the skeletal structure indicated a body size that exceeded any known human dimensions. But was this truly a member of a race of ancient giants? Or could the remains simply belong to an individual suffering from an extreme growth disorder? The bones were reportedly sent to the University of Montpellier for additional examination, where experts confirmed their human-like nature but described them as highly unusual. Some scientists proposed that the remains may have belonged to someone afflicted with gigantism or acromegaly, conditions where hormonal imbalances result in excessive growth. Others speculated that they might have been part of an extinct human variant naturally larger than Homo sapiens. The central problem with the Castelnau giant is the loss of the physical evidence. The bones either disappeared or were destroyed sometime after their discovery. With no way to examine the remains using modern methods, such as DNA testing or radiocarbon dating, today's scientists are unable to verify Lapouge's claims. The absence of the specimens has led many to dismiss the case as either a misunderstanding, an exaggeration, or outright fabrication. Still, the legend of the Castelnau giant refuses to fade away, especially because it's not an isolated account. Throughout recorded history, there have been numerous reports of enormous human skeletons discovered around the world. Native American folklore, for instance, describes red-haired giants who once walked the North American continent. In the 1800s, newspapers in the United States frequently reported discoveries of oversized human bones, particularly across the Midwest. Although most of these tales lack solid evidence and are often written off as hoaxes or folklore, they continue to inspire theories about a forgotten race of giants. One such story persists in Sardinia, Italy, where locals have long whispered of massive skeletons found in ancient burial sites. Eyewitnesses claim that these remains were confiscated by officials and quietly removed from public knowledge. According to conspiracy theories, mainstream academia and government institutions may have deliberately concealed proof of ancient giants, fearing the disruption such findings might bring to established historical models. Yet, no indisputable evidence has surfaced to validate these allegations. Skeptics offer more grounded explanations. Some bones labeled as giant might actually be from extinct megafauna rather than humans. In other cases, distortions caused by soil pressure, mineralization, or environmental effects may make ordinary remains appear abnormally large. Additionally, rare medical conditions have always produced individuals significantly taller than the average person, explaining some outlier skeletons. Nevertheless, the Castelnau discovery stands apart from mere rumors. It was found by a trained academic, officially published, and at one point analyzed by professionals. If only the bones had survived, they could now be analyzed using advanced tools that were unavailable in Lapouge's era. Could they have belonged to an early hominid species with naturally larger body size? Might they represent a community of unusually tall humans lost to the pages of time? The past is riddled with anomalies, artifacts, and evidence that don't align with conventional timelines or logic. The Castelnau giant stands as one of those historical puzzles, where the clues suggest a reality that doesn't quite fit our accepted understanding. Did real giants once walk the earth? Or are these stories and bones simply extreme examples of human variation? In the absence of the actual remains, definitive answers may never come. But the possibility of forgotten knowledge, of ancient civilizations mastering things we still seek to understand, continues to capture our imagination. Some mysteries, after all, don't lie buried beneath the soil. They stand in plain sight, enduring the centuries, like the legendary Iron Pillar of Delhi. The 10,000-year-old submerged metropolis. Human history is scattered with stories of ancient societies, vanished cities, and architectural remnants that challenge understanding. Some were overtaken by thick forests, others hidden under layers of drifting sand. But occasionally, a discovery emerges from the ocean's depths, one that hints that massive portions of our past may still be missing. Consider Nan Madol, a vast complex constructed on the Pacific's waters. It poses perplexing questions about how such large-scale structures were developed by early societies in isolated locations. However, Nan Madol isn't the only aquatic enigma. Off the western coast of Cuba, deep beneath the sea, lies an underwater marvel that might be even more jaw-dropping. A sprawling submerged city that, according to some experts, could date back over 10,000 years. This underwater structure, commonly referred to as the Cuban submerged city, stands among the most debated and intriguing archaeological discoveries of the 21st century. In 2001, researchers affiliated with the Canadian firm Advanced Digital Communications undertook sonar mapping along Cuba's Guanajuato Peninsula. Their objective was to locate remnants of Spanish galleons. However, their search took a surprising turn. Spearheaded by marine engineer Paulina Zalitsky, the team picked up sonar data that revealed an array of symmetrical and geometric formations on the ocean floor. These patterns did not resemble anything naturally occurring. What appeared were enormous stone-like constructs arranged in a deliberate city-like formation, featuring road-like paths, pyramid-shaped features, and structures resembling buildings set out in an orderly, grid-style layout. Even more astonishingly, these formations were discovered nearly 2,000 feet beneath the ocean's surface. At such depths, any human construction would have had to predate modern recorded history, possibly emerging from a time when sea levels were significantly lower, perhaps even before the last ice age. This would place the site's origins over 10,000 years ago, much older than the Egyptian pyramids, Stonehenge, or even Göbekli Tepe, believed to be the world's oldest known temple complex. If this is accurate, it would drastically challenge our current timeline of civilization and force historians to reconsider humanity's ancient capabilities. Speculation surged almost immediately. Some theorists proposed that the structures may have belonged to an ancient society that once inhabited the Caribbean region, but whose communities were submerged as ocean levels rose. Others floated the notion that it might be linked to the fabled Atlantis, though this idea was widely criticized by mainstream scholars as pseudoscientific. An alternate theory posited that these ruins might be remnants of a land bridge that historically linked Cuba with the Yucatan Peninsula. This scenario would suggest a vastly different narrative of ancient migration and settlement patterns throughout the Americas. Given the potentially groundbreaking implications of this find, many anticipated thorough follow-up investigations. But oddly, after the initial announcement, little effort was made to validate the sonar data. Years later, an unmanned submersible was deployed to photograph the site. The visuals seemed to show large, carved stone blocks arranged atop one another, closely resembling man-made ruins. However, without actual physical samples or in-depth analysis, nothing conclusive could be determined. One of the main barriers to further study is the site's extreme depth. Diving there requires highly advanced submersible equipment, which in turn demands major financial resources and technical logistics. Unlike shallow underwater locations where divers can manually explore ruins, deep-sea archaeology must rely solely on remote observation, limiting our ability to study and verify findings. Skeptics argue that what was detected could simply be natural rock formations, shaped by seismic forces that fractured the seafloor in ways that mimic artificial architecture. Some geologists claim the illusion of deliberate structures might result from misread sonar interpretations. Despite those objections, the organized layout and symmetrical nature of the formations continue to cast doubt on the purely natural explanation. The mystery only deepened due to the scarcity of publicly available research following the original discovery. This lack of transparency led some to suspect political tensions between Cuba and the U.S. may have obstructed further investigations. There are those who believe confirming the site's artificial nature could disrupt our understanding of prehistory, making it a politically delicate subject. Still, despite all the uncertainties, the idea of a submerged ancient civilization lurking beneath Caribbean waters continues to enthrall the public imagination. If any future expeditions revisit the site and gather verifiable evidence, it may reveal the story of a culture that existed millennia ago, hidden under the ocean for ages. The sea, as it often does, has guarded its secrets well. The potential discovery of this Cuban underwater city stirs deep questions about lost knowledge and what else may still lie buried by time. But this isn't the only mystery from antiquity that provokes thought. Some riddles hide under the waves, others beneath shifting sands, and a few are etched in the languages of long-gone empires. The Baghdad Jar. Some believe this peculiar artifact offers evidence of contact with beings beyond Earth, an idea that's intriguing, though not backed by solid proof. However, not everyone agrees that the so-called Baghdad battery was truly a device for generating electricity. Critics argue that the ceramic vessel might have simply functioned as a jar for storing documents or scrolls. Others emphasize that similar containers have been uncovered throughout the region, none of which exhibit definitive characteristics of electrical use. While it's true the vessel can generate a small electric charge, it's neither strong nor consistent enough to be deemed practically useful. As such, its effectiveness as a functioning battery remains doubtful. Recent studies suggest it may have been nothing more than a basic container, never intended for electrical use. No ancient manuscript or recorded description identifies its purpose. No visual evidence shows it as part of a broader electrical network, and there's no direct indication that electroplating was practiced in that area during that era. With so little surrounding context, the real story behind the Baghdad Jar continues to puzzle researchers. Despite the valid criticisms, this mystery endures in the minds of many. Was it an experimental step toward electricity, a misunderstood object, or merely a historical oddity? Whatever the case, it reminds us just how much of ancient knowledge has vanished with time. History is brimming with oddities, items that seem misplaced in time, technologies far ahead of their presumed origins. While the Baghdad artifact might not be conclusive evidence of early electrical engineering, it raises important questions. How much wisdom from the past has slipped away? How many breakthroughs were once known and later lost? And if even a rudimentary battery might have existed thousands of years ago, what other forgotten marvels are still waiting to be unearthed? The Baghdad Jar remains one of the most captivating relics from antiquity. If interpreted accurately, it might indicate that civilizations long ago had a deeper grasp of electrical principles than we currently acknowledge. While some maintain it had a far more ordinary use, history continues to surprise us with relics and constructions that refuse to fit neatly into our standard narratives. The Shugborough Mystery. Some historical puzzles don't involve lost machines or ancient sciences, but instead come wrapped in simple symbols that stump even the sharpest minds. One such conundrum involves a sequence of 10 cryptic letters carved into a monument at an English manor. Unlike the Baghdad Jar, which has at least some educated guesses about its function. This string of characters has no clearly understood meaning. No papers detail why the carving was made, who authored it, or what its message might be. Yet for nearly 300 years, countless experts, from curious scholars to elite World War II cryptographers, have tried and failed to decipher it. This is the enigma of the Shugborough inscription, a silent riddle hiding in plain sight. The Shugborough estate in Staffordshire, England, traces its roots back to the 1600s and was once the residence of the Anson family. The estate features expansive gardens, classical design, and detailed statuary. But among all these historical flourishes, one feature has intrigued people around the world: the Shepherd's Monument. Constructed sometime between 1748 and 1763, the monument displays a carved version of the famous painting, The Shepherds of Arcadia, by Nicholas Poussin. The image shows a group of shepherds gathered around a tomb, pointing to the Latin phrase et in Arcadia ego, often interpreted as even in Arcadia, I am present, symbolizing the inevitability of death. However, what lies just beneath this scene is far more puzzling. A series of 10 letters, WOSVAVVM. For almost 3 centuries, no one has managed to crack the code. There's no explanation for who etched the letters, why they were chosen, or how they relate to any historical event. Though not as ancient as other unsolved mysteries, this code has withstood the test of modern analysis. Theories range from sensible to outrageous, adding to the strange allure of the monument. One popular idea connects the code to the Knights Templar, a medieval order linked to hidden knowledge and secret relics. Some theorists believe the inscription hides directions to the Holy Grail, the mythical cup from the Last Supper. This claim is supported by interpretations of Poussin's artwork, with some researchers suggesting the painting contains coded messages tied to the Templars. If true, the letters could be part of a larger cipher pointing to ancient religious treasures. Another proposal suggests the inscription was a personal message. Some historians believe it might be a coded dedication by Admiral George Anson, a prominent explorer and family member, honoring personal beliefs or triumphs. The letters may even represent a Latin anagram or phrase, perhaps linked to the family's private symbolism. Linguists have speculated that it could be a religious Latin invocation like Oro ad omni serventur, I pray that all may be saved. However, like all other interpretations, this one lacks documentary evidence tying it to the Ansons. What makes this case especially baffling is that even the brilliant minds of Bletchley Park, the team that broke the Nazi Enigma code, could not decipher it during WWII. Despite the advances in cryptographic techniques and the attention of both professional analysts and amateur code breakers, no consensus has ever been reached. Skeptics argue that maybe there's no code at all. Perhaps the letters were placed purely to spark intrigue, without containing any real meaning. But that explanation raises its own questions. If the inscription meant nothing, why is there no record of its purpose? Why go through the trouble of carving 10 mysterious letters into a prestigious monument and leave no clue behind? A more unusual theory posits that the letters are a form of early steganography, a way of embedding hidden information within texts or images. Some researchers even think it might be the key to a larger secret, possibly buried somewhere else on the estate. Despite centuries of debate, not one interpretation has gained universal acceptance. The Shugborough Code continues to stand as one of the longest-standing unsolved puzzles in human history. Unlike ancient languages that require cultural and historical understanding, this mystery should be solvable, but it remains sealed. Its fascination lies not only in the puzzle itself, but also in the haunting thought that its meaning may be lost forever. Without surviving documentation, we may never truly know the mind behind the carving. Some hold out hope that one day the right person will decode it. Others believe the answer may have vanished with its creator. The Shugborough inscription is an enigma carved into stone, neither buried in ruins nor hidden in ancient temples, but plainly visible to all. It remains a timeless challenge, whispering from the past, still refusing to reveal its truth. Mystery of Nan Madol. Deep within the Pacific Ocean, far from familiar lands, lies a bewildering enigma, an ancient city seemingly afloat on water. Constructed from massive basalt pillars, this marvel appears too grand for any early society to have created. This baffling wonder has earned names like the Venice of the Pacific and even the eighth wonder of the world. Welcome to Nan Madol, one of the planet's most remote and mysterious archaeological sites. Situated just off the coast of the small island of Pohnpei in the Federated States of Micronesia, Nan Madol is a complex of more than 90 man-made islets. These islets are linked by a maze of stone-lined canals, forming an aquatic city unmatched by any other in the ancient world. Enormous stone edifices emerge from the lagoon, their foundations laid on coral reefs and built from hexagonal basalt columns, each stone weighing as much as 50 tons. These immense fortress-like walls, shrouded in lush tropical growth, defy explanation. The design itself is fascinating, but even more perplexing is the manner in which such a colossal construction was achieved. These basalt monoliths were meticulously stacked with remarkable accuracy, yet no modern expert can definitively explain how this was done. Pohnpei lacks any known quarry that could have supplied the material. Even more puzzling, there is no trace of the tools or engineering techniques that might have been employed to transport and position the stones. Built without a natural land base, this floating city is a testament to a long-lost culture's vision and craftsmanship. Adding to the intrigue are the legends passed down through generations of Pohnpeians. According to oral traditions, Nan Madol wasn't entirely the work of humans. Local stories speak of powerful magicians who levitated the basalt stones using supernatural powers. The tale often centers on two sorcerer brothers, Alasipa and Alasopa, who arrived on the island and constructed the city through magical means to establish a sacred space for worship. Eventually, Nan Madol became the spiritual and governmental center of the Sotalur dynasty, a powerful ruling family that governed the region for hundreds of years until they mysteriously disappeared. Yet, the true origins of Nan Madol continue to baffle researchers. Carbon dating suggests human activity at the site as early as 200 BC, but the more elaborate stone structures were likely erected between the 12th and 13th centuries. The Sotalur rulers, known for their rigid social hierarchy and tight control over the island's people, used Nan Madol as their seat of power. But its isolated location raises more questions than answers. Why establish a royal capital on water rather than on firm ground? One theory argues that the city's ocean setting was intentional, perhaps a strategy to physically and symbolically distance the elite from the general population. Another suggests it was conceived as a defensible stronghold, with the towering walls and island layout offering both security and religious mystique. Still others think Nan Madol was a sanctuary, an exclusive venue for priests and leaders to perform sacred rites, hidden from commoners. But the most confounding aspect remains its construction. The basalt blocks that form Nan Madol are not just ordinary stones. They are naturally formed into hexagonal shapes, similar to the formations at Ireland's Giant's Causeway. Yet some of these stones weigh over 50 tons, and moving them without wheels, cranes, animals, or pulleys should have been impossible. The nearest source of such basalt is miles away, separated by open ocean. Some scholars theorize that the builders employed wooden sleds and rafts to haul the stones, though no such tools have been discovered. Others suggest the use of now-lost advanced technology, methods capable of shaping and placing these heavy blocks with unmatched accuracy. And then there are the enduring myths of levitation. While the idea may seem fantastical, the sheer magnitude of the city leaves even skeptical researchers wondering if there's more to the story than meets the eye. Whether the result of brilliant engineering, forgotten techniques, or something beyond human understanding, the creators of Nan Madol accomplished the seemingly impossible. But its story doesn't end with its construction. Nan Madol was deserted centuries before European explorers arrived in the Pacific. The once thriving city was overtaken by jungle and left to deteriorate, becoming a ghost town overgrown with silence. Why it was abandoned is still unknown. Some believe the Sodalur dynasty was toppled by external forces, while others think the city became unsustainable, dependent on imported food and materials that could no longer be supplied. Then there is the chilling legend of a curse. To this day, many locals avoid the site after dark, fearing the spirits said to guard its ruins. Tales abound of glowing lights among the stones, of invisible forces punishing intruders, and of the sensation of being watched. Even modern visitors have reported unsettling experiences, malfunctioning equipment, eerie sounds, and the inescapable feeling that the ruins aren't entirely lifeless. In the 20th century, an American researcher who explored Nan Madol reportedly fell ill and died soon after. His sudden demise fueled local fears that the spirits of Nan Madol still protect their sacred domain, preserving its secrets beneath the waves. Despite generations of exploration and study, Nan Madol remains one of the most enduring unsolved riddles of antiquity. Its creation is beyond reason, its history incomplete, and its abandonment unexplained. The ruins serve as a haunting reminder that many chapters of human history remain unwritten, civilizations that rose and vanished, leaving behind only stone silhouettes in the sea. Nan Madol endures, a silent puzzle whose origins defy logic and whose spirit continues to mystify. The Uffington Enigma. Not all ancient enigmas lie hidden under ocean depths or buried in jungle ruins. Some are etched into the earth itself, boldly exposed to the sky. Nestled among the rolling hills of southern England, a striking figure has silently watched the land for millennia. A massive, stylized horse carved into the white chalk of Oxfordshire's hillside. Spanning nearly 360 feet, its sleek and stretched-out form makes it one of Britain's oldest and most mystifying landmarks. This is the Uffington White Horse, an emblem so old that its origin and purpose remain completely unknown. Unlike many other hill figures scattered across England, most of which date to recent centuries, the Uffington carving is in a league of its own. Scientific analysis suggests the horse dates back over 3,000 years, to the Late Bronze Age or Early Iron Age. When Roman legions first set foot in Britain, this figure was already ancient, and even they had no idea who created it or for what reason. For generations, people have speculated about the horse's true purpose. Was it a sacred symbol, a tribal crest, or perhaps the marker of a forgotten kingdom? The horse's design adds to its mystery. Rather than a realistic portrayal, it is abstract, almost futuristic in its sweeping lines and elongated limbs, unlike any known artwork from the same era. Some even argue that it might not depict a horse at all. But why would prehistoric people invest so much time and effort into carving a massive figure into the side of a hill? Creating such a large symbol was no small feat, and preserving it was a continuous responsibility. Cut into chalk, the figure would quickly vanish beneath soil and grass without regular care. This means that across centuries, countless individuals took part in maintaining its shape, proof of its deep importance to those who lived nearby. One theory suggests the horse served as a territorial boundary marker, a declaration of control visible for miles around, warning or welcoming passersby. Another possibility points to spiritual or ceremonial importance, perhaps connected to fertility rites or ancient horse-worshipping customs. Though the Celts arrived long after its creation, they revered horses as divine beings and often linked them to warriors and deities. Some experts propose that the figure may represent Epona, a Celtic goddess associated with horses and protection. Yet the puzzle doesn't end with possible meanings. Some researchers believe the white horse may have been designed with the sky in mind. Alignments with solar and stellar events hint at a potential role in seasonal rituals or astronomical observations. Not far from the carving lies Dragon Hill, a flat-topped mound steeped in legend, said to be the spot where St. George slew the dragon. Some historians believe this site, too, held religious importance since ancient times. There are even more unconventional ideas. Could the Uffington horse be a symbolic message left by a lost culture, a pictograph from a forgotten language? Some have speculated it might depict a comet or cosmic event that left a deep impression on those who witnessed it, commemorated forever in chalk. Its unusual and almost extraterrestrial design has fueled theories that it may not be based on an earthly creature at all. Others go further, proposing that the horse could be far older than we think. Alternative scholars suggest it might date back to the Neolithic period, placing it among the oldest surviving artworks in human history. If so, it would link the figure to the earliest civilizations of Europe, cultures whose stories have long since vanished. What remains certain is that the white horse has persisted, not just etched into the Oxfordshire hillside, but embedded in British folklore and cultural memory. Its form has inspired countless tales, from ghostly steeds galloping through the night to legends of dragon slayers. Even now, local volunteers continue the age-old ritual of scouring the figure, clearing away encroaching vegetation to keep its outline sharp and visible. Despite the centuries, the Uffington white horse remains just as mesmerizing as it was thousands of years ago. Whether it was a religious totem, a tribal declaration, or something more mysterious entirely, its creators left behind no words, only this vast, haunting image carved into the land. And as time marches on, the white horse continues to gaze over the hills, its silent presence a powerful reminder of humanity's ancient past. The sealed legacy of Qin Shi Huang. Few archaeological sites have stirred as much curiosity and speculation as the burial place of China's first emperor. Hidden deep beneath the ground in China's Shanxi province lies a tomb that has remained untouched for over 2 millennia. This is the final resting place of Qin Shi Huang, the founding emperor who unified the warring states into one vast nation and laid the groundwork for what would become the Great Wall. His rule was defined by unparalleled ambition, formidable authority, and a relentless quest for eternal life. Determined to rule beyond death, Qin Shi Huang commissioned the construction of a sprawling underground mausoleum, a monument unmatched in scale or complexity. First discovered in the 1970s, this monumental complex spans more than 22 square miles. Yet, despite decades of archaeological work, the core burial chamber, where the emperor himself is believed to lie, remains completely sealed. It's not due to a lack of access, but rather out of concern for what may await inside. What sets this tomb apart is not only its vastness, but also the ominous legends surrounding it, as chronicled by ancient historians. The most well-known account comes from Sima Qian, a historian of the Han Dynasty, writing about a century after the emperor's death. His writings describe the tomb as an opulent subterranean palace, complete with rivers of mercury and deadly traps meant to guard its secrets forever. According to Sima Qian, the emperor's sarcophagus rests on an island in the center of a miniature recreation of his empire. Lakes and rivers within the tomb were said to be represented using flowing mercury, while the ceiling above was adorned to mimic the night sky, with glowing pearls symbolizing stars. Crossbows and other automatic weapons were supposedly rigged to fire upon any intruders daring to violate the emperor's eternal slumber. For many years, these tales were dismissed as mere fables, but modern science has revealed disturbing clues that Sima Qian's account may have been accurate. Soil analyses conducted near the burial mound have detected mercury levels far above natural norms, lending credence to the legend of mercury rivers inside the tomb. This discovery suggests that opening the chamber could expose toxic hazards, posing serious risks to archaeologists and scientists alike. But mercury isn't the only concern. Due to the emperor's fixation on protecting his realm, experts fear that elaborate traps described by ancient texts may still be functional. The engineers of ancient China were famously resourceful, and no one knows what kinds of lethal mechanisms may lie in wait. The most famous excavated portion of this vast necropolis is the Terracotta Army, an awe-inspiring formation of more than 8,000 life-sized clay warriors. Each soldier is distinct, crafted with unique facial expressions, detailed armor, and weaponry. This vast army was unearthed in 1974 by farmers digging a well, and it shocked the world with its scale and realism. These figures were meant to defend the emperor in the afterlife. Yet, while the army has been studied, the tomb it was meant to protect remains untouched beneath a massive earth mound. Chinese authorities have prohibited any attempts to unseal the tomb, citing the importance of preserving the integrity of the site. Some see this as a prudent measure, while others suspect that the government may know more than they let on. So why hasn't the tomb been opened? A major factor is technological readiness. Archaeologists want to ensure that once they breach the tomb, they can do so without causing irreversible damage. History offers painful lessons. When King Tutankhamun's tomb was opened in the 1920s, exposure to air caused many artifacts to deteriorate rapidly. Experts fear the same fate could befall the contents of Qin Shi Huang's tomb. Various techniques, including remote sensing and ground-penetrating radar, have been proposed to examine the tomb's interior without opening it. But thus far, none have delivered a clear view of what lies within. This ambiguity has led to wild speculation. Could the tomb hold ancient texts, revolutionary inventions, or records that contradict our current understanding of Chinese history? Others suggest that superstition may be a factor. Ancient legends warn that disturbing the emperor's tomb could unleash a curse. Tales of tomb-related misfortune are common across cultures, and, while often dismissed, such beliefs continue to influence decisions. Is the hesitation simply due to scientific caution, or do deeper fears linger? Could there truly be something inside the tomb that humanity isn't ready to face? Or are we merely waiting for technology to catch up with curiosity? For now, the tomb of Qin Shi Huang remains closed, an unopened gateway to the ancient world. It has the potential to transform our understanding of early Chinese civilization, of the emperor who unified a nation, and of the lengths rulers will go to achieve immortality. Until the day it is finally open, it will remain one of archaeology's most tantalizing enigmas. Ratanaba. From undeciphered languages to vanished cities, history is filled with riddles we may never unravel. While the tomb of Qin Shi Huang remains sealed beneath layers of legend and earth, other ancient marvels may have been overtaken not by secrecy, but by the natural world itself. Entire civilizations might lie hidden beneath the ocean, or deep within Earth's densest jungles, awaiting rediscovery. One such place, if the stories are true, lies in the heart of the Amazon rainforest. Some call it the Brazilian Atlantis. For generations, myths of a hidden civilization in the Amazon have echoed through time. Long before European explorers arrived in South America, indigenous peoples told stories of vast stone cities nestled deep in the jungle, overtaken by vines and soil. Yet for centuries, these tales were dismissed as folklore. The Amazon, they argued, was too untamed, too hostile to support any advanced culture. But new findings challenge this long-held assumption. The Enigma of Ratanap, sometimes dubbed the Brazilian Atlantis, centers around a belief that deep within the rainforest there once existed a highly sophisticated society, one that rivaled the architectural and cultural achievements of other ancient civilizations. This culture may have constructed monumental cities, developed complex road systems, and perhaps even devised a form of writing. Unlike traditional Atlantis legends that describe cities engulfed by the sea, this lost civilization is thought to have been swallowed by the jungle itself, so thoroughly consumed by vegetation that nothing remains visible from the sky. One of the most striking pieces of evidence supporting this theory comes from modern satellite technology. In recent decades, researchers have used LiDAR, light detection and ranging, to peer beneath the Amazon's thick tree canopy. What they found is astonishing. Geometric designs, straight lines, and the remnants of what appear to be once thriving settlements in areas previously believed to be untouched wilderness. These discoveries suggest that the Amazon may have hosted an advanced civilization capable of city planning and large-scale construction. The idea of Ratinab draws further credibility from the adventures of early 20th century explorer Percy Fawcett. Fawcett believed in a lost city hidden in the jungle, which he called the City of Z. Guided by ancient documents and local myths, he embarked on a 1925 expedition, but mysteriously vanished, never to be seen again. His disappearance only intensified global fascination with the idea of a lost Amazonian civilization. In recent years, researchers have uncovered enormous geoglyphs, massive geometric shapes carved into the land, which further suggest organized societies once shaped the landscape in complex ways. These designs bear a striking resemblance to the famous Nazca lines of Peru, reinforcing the notion that ancient Amazonian peoples engaged in similar grand-scale projects. But if such a civilization existed, what caused its downfall? Some experts believe that contact with early European explorers introduced devastating diseases that wiped out large portions of the population before their cities could be documented. Others point to environmental factors, such as deforestation or climate shifts, that may have led to their decline. The rainforest, after all, is relentless. It can erase the works of man in mere decades, covering entire structures in thick greenery. If these ancient cities were built primarily from stone, they might still be hiding just beneath the surface, camouflaged by centuries of plant life. Still, numerous questions remain unanswered. If these people had a written language, where are the scripts? If they built grand temples or palaces, why haven't we found more ruins akin to those of the Maya or Inca? Could entire cities really remain buried beneath one of the most biodiverse and overgrown regions on Earth? One of the most compelling aspects of this mystery is that it endures not due to ignorance, but due to lack of exploration. The Amazon remains one of the planet's most uncharted frontiers. As technology like LiDAR continues to evolve, we may soon uncover irrefutable evidence of a forgotten civilization that once flourished in South America. Ratinab may yet prove to be more than a legend, a city that could reshape our understanding of pre-Columbian history. Whether lost beneath jungle vines or submerged in myth, such ancient wonders remind us that the past still holds secrets waiting to be revealed. Some lost cities are still waiting to be found. Others have already been discovered, revealing truths more astonishing than legend, and in some cases, treasures as remarkable as the myths they inspired. The haunting legacy of King Tutankhamun's tomb. Our next mystery transports us to Egypt, into a burial chamber untouched for thousands of years, where a series of chilling events would etch its name into history as one of the most notorious archaeological finds ever recorded. This is the haunting legacy of King Tutankhamun's tomb. In November of 1922, British archaeologist Howard Carter and his team made a breathtaking discovery after years of relentless excavation: the long-lost entrance to the tomb of the young pharaoh Tutankhamun. Although considered a relatively minor figure in the vast lineage of Egyptian rulers, his burial site had remained undisturbed for over 3 millennia. Hidden beneath layers of debris in the fabled Valley of the Kings, the tomb was miraculously intact. As Carter peered into its depths by the faint flicker of candlelight, he laid eyes on riches beyond imagination: gilded statues, elaborate engravings, and the now famous golden death mask of the boy king. It was a discovery that would forever reshape the field of Egyptology. Yet almost immediately, whispers of a deadly curse began to circulate. The notion that desecrating an ancient grave could bring misfortune wasn't new, but the case of King Tutankhamun seemed to carry an especially dire warning. One tale spoke of a clay tablet found near the tomb's entrance that allegedly bore the chilling inscription, "Death shall come on swift wings to him who disturbs the peace of the king." Whether or not this tablet ever existed remains debated, but what happened next cemented the legend. The first to fall victim to what would later be known as the Curse of the Pharaohs was Lord Carnarvon, the wealthy English noble who financed Carter's expedition. Mere months after the tomb was opened, Carnarvon suffered an infected mosquito bite. His condition rapidly worsened, and he succumbed to illness in April 1923, just 6 months after the tomb was uncovered. His abrupt and shocking death sent the media into a frenzy. and the idea of a pharaoh's curse quickly gripped the public's imagination. What made Carnarvon's death even more unsettling were the eerie coincidences surrounding it. At the moment he died in his Cairo hotel room, reports claimed that all the lights in the city suddenly went dark. Simultaneously, in England, his beloved dog let out a mournful howl and collapsed dead. These chilling occurrences only fueled belief in the curse's reality. In the years that followed, more deaths and strange misfortunes were attributed to the tomb's supposed hex. Arthur Mace, a vital member of the excavation crew, died unexpectedly in 1928. Richard Bethel, Carter's personal secretary, was discovered dead under suspicious circumstances in his London home in 1929. Not long after, Bethel's father, overwhelmed by grief, ended his own life. Another victim was Hugh Evelyn White, an Egyptologist who had visited the tomb. He reportedly took his own life, leaving behind a message suggesting he had fallen prey to the curse. Even individuals indirectly involved weren't spared. Sir Archibald Douglas Reed, who had performed X-rays on Tutankhamun's mummy, also died shortly thereafter. Interestingly, Howard Carter, the man at the center of the entire excavation, dismissed all rumors of a curse, attributing them to media sensationalism. He lived another 16 years after the tomb's discovery and passed away in 1939 at the age of 64 due to lymphoma. Still, some saw his death as the closing act in the curse's grim tale. So was there truly a supernatural force guarding the tomb, or was there a more rational explanation behind the series of misfortunes? One scientific theory posits that the tomb may have contained ancient fungi or bacteria that had remained dormant for thousands of years. Once disturbed, these microorganisms could have triggered deadly infections, particularly in those with weakened immune systems. The tomb's sealed and stagnant environment would have been an ideal breeding ground for harmful spores. Some experts even believe toxic mold on the walls could have led to severe respiratory complications, possibly explaining the illnesses that afflicted so many who entered. Alternatively, the idea of a curse may have simply been a blend of tragic coincidences and media hype. During the 1920s, the press was hungry for headlines, and a pharaoh's curse was the perfect cocktail of mystery, history, and horror. In reality, many of the so-called victims were elderly or already in fragile health, and their deaths may not have been unusual for that era. Still, doubts linger. Ancient Egyptians took great care in their burial practices and often inscribed tombs with dire warnings to deter looters. While no traps were found in Tutankhamun's tomb, some believe that chemical agents or poisons might have been intentionally placed to ward off intruders long after the tomb was sealed. Regardless of whether the curse was real or merely a reflection of fear, chance, and storytelling, the legend of King Tutankhamun's tomb has endured through the decades. It stands as a chilling reminder that some mysteries may be best left alone. As we continue to unearth the relics of ancient civilizations, we're reminded that not every question will yield a clear answer, and some secrets may be cloaked in shadows forever.